Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Varun Mansali, welcome you in this session where we would be discussing the impact of abrogation of Article 370 and 35A in Jammu and Kashmir state. This is being broadcasted on our VR1 YouTube channel. This discussion has been organized by International Institute of J&K Studies and Analysis, that is ITSA, of which I am the co-convener. ITSA has been a pilot project started in Jammu with the aim to ensure that the correct version of voices of civil society are heard at national and international level. It is felt that since 1947 or even earlier, the happenings in Jammu and Kashmir state have been and are reported in a distorted manner, depending on the selfish motive of the individual or the organization or a political party concerned. So we are making an earnest effort to get the academic intelligence of Jammu and Kashmir state on one single platform and apprise the world about the true situation on ground and the real feelings of the masses in Jammu and Kashmir state. The general citizens and their voices are ignored by decision-making powers. Today, I have a galaxy of intellectuals from Jammu who would be analyzing the situation in Jammu Kashmir after de-operationalizing of Article 370 and 35A. We would discuss this evening that the de-operationalizing of Article 370 is a boom or a pain for the citizens of Jammu Kashmir who have been suffering from the dirge of your due to selfish motives of handful few and are condemned due to the misery. I now hand you over to Brigadier Dr. Vijay Sagar Dhiman, convener of International Institute of Jammu and Kashmir Studies and Analysis, ITSA, who will introduce you to the chief guests, the panel, and our distinguished guests. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure and a matter of great honor for me to be in the presence of this distinguished intellectual from Jammu and host of other special guests from India and abroad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of ITSA, that is International Institute of Jammu and Kashmir Studies and Analysis, was conceived by me after my retirement from the army. Well, post-retirement, while I was the Vice Chancellor of a university, I was also in touch with your think tanks in Delhi and abroad. And one such organization even offered me a fellowship. And I was too happy to accept that, but I explained to the management that my research on Jammu and Kashmir and the allied matters must take place within the precincts of Jammu and Kashmir state. So that I'm in close touch with the events as they happen and not as reported by some motivated, selfish segments, including that of media. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my efforts for 2 years did not bear fruits as it involved finances. And the managements were not ready for this kind of a venture to pay me some money to go and start my work in Jammu. And finally, one day on the advice of one of my counselors, our revered Mr. Narendra Shishodia, who will be joining us very soon, and he's also an ex-Director General of IDSA, that is Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. He advised me that I should not waste my time in this venture and must start something of my own. Well, I set out to configure a small research entity in Jammu, wherein today we are only 5 of us working on ground, and we have a patronage of about 35 intellectuals like you all who are keeping their hands on my head. So, most of the people are present over here also in this August gathering, who provided me with a lot of prudent advice, and I extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you. However, my work did not end here, and I guess God also wanted to test my resolve. Well, all preparations done by me had to be halted due to Corona outbreak. And now that the Corona restrictions have been partially eased out, so we decided at least we should go ahead with the webinars at least. We had plans to be offline, and same has been reflected in the approach paper which I have forwarded to all of you. And this is how the ITSA is shaping up bit by bit, but surely there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I will now like to introduce you to our chief guest, Ambassador G. Parthasarathy, Well, I'm so grateful to you, sir, that you accepted my invitation, and I'm so happy and elated that you are on the panel with me here, sir.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador doesn't need any introduction. He's an international thinker, a prudent analyst, and whole world knows about him. And we all are aware of his tremendous experience in the areas of diplomacy, and especially in case of South Asia, wherein that he was, I think, so you had 3 tenures in Pakistan, if I'm not wrong, sir, including the one of an High Commissioner. And today also, government, whenever they want prudent advice on this area, this region, and I'm sure, I know that Ambassador Parthasarathy is always there. So thank you very much, sir, and warm welcome to the portals of ITSA.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, now we have a panel of speakers. First one in the line is Mr. K.V. Jandial. He is a career bureaucrat, having 40 years of experience in Jammu and Kashmir, all his life, and he knows the each nerve of how things work in Jammu. And today, we shall be honored to hear him for at least 10 to 15 minutes, which will be telling us what exactly is the situation after the operationalization of Article 370 and 35. Similarly, we have another intellectual from Jammu, who's Mr. Ashok Bhan, Dr. Ashok Bhan, I'm sorry, sir. He is the ex-Director General of Police, and again, he is a very, very expert, and he knows every bit of the security scenario in the Jammu and Kashmir. Then we have Lieutenant General P.S. Mehta, a retired army officer, who is again a son of soil, but then he's had tremendous amount of tenure in Jammu and Kashmir in the insurgency areas, and he carries a lot of experience, actual hands-on experience in fighting with the terrorists. And a word about him, which he'll be telling in detail about himself, but I will tell you, he is also one of the victims of this entire gamut. At the so-called genocide of Pandits we talk about, it was also few minority Sikhs in the valley, of which he is one. And I take pride in being his friend, because his father belongs to the regiment which I belong to, that is 4580 Regiment. And then we have Dr. Vrinder Gupta. He is an academician par excellence, and he's been into Jammu and Kashmir affairs for last more than 40 years. All his life he's been here, and he's been in the Jammu University, head of the department, and in various other capacities. He served the area very well. He's been in advisory role to the government many times, and there are forums like IIPA or Public Opinion Forum, such like local think tanks in Jammu, of which he is a very, very important constituent of. So these are the 4 speakers, and finally we request Ambassador Parthasarathy to give us his views about the whole thing. And now I will also introduce you to a few our guests from abroad. We have Dr. Amjad Ayub Mishra, who will be joining us, Mirza, who's a human rights activist from Mirpur and TOJK, and now in exile in UK. He will soon be joining us. I think he also has some problems of connectivity problems, so he'll be joining in. And Mr. Varinder Sharma, who's an MP in UK, is already with us. A warm welcome to you, sir. Then I'm also expecting Ms. Lakshmi Kaul. She is an advisor of Bob Blackman, again an MP in UK, who's pro-India. And she also told me, just give me a phone, and she'll be liking very soon. Then we have Lalit Sharma, president of International Dogra Society. Manu Khajuria, she is also running a similar Dogra organization in UK. Then we have Simone from Switzerland, Vania from Portugal, Boyd from Canada, Tabindu from New York, Virti Kha from New Zealand, and of course, the final foreign guest of mine, my life, my friend, philosopher, guide, and everything for me is my daughter Kanika, who is the third.
Now we have the pleasure that we are having Ambassador G. Parthasarathy sir with us, with his vast knowledge and his continuous talks with the government about this issue. Sir, we are feeling blessed that you are with us. Kindly give your concluding remarks onto the whole discussion, that what are the implications according to you, and majorly what are the solutions? What do you think about the solutions, sir?
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this inviting me here. I really learned a lot today. So I must thank you for the invitation because I'm talking to people on the ground and that's the best way you learn. May I just say one thing? Starting with this business of Kashmir, we're getting worried about the Chinese. Let me tell you one thing. Pakistan is nothing by itself. Pakistan becomes a problem because it is used as an extension of Chinese power. That is what we have to realize. We can take care of Pakistan, that's not an issue. Remember one thing, there is no such thing even as a Pakistan nuclear weapons program. There is a Chinese nuclear weapons program in Pakistan. The nuclear weapons, missiles, which can hit all your cities, are all Chinese. The Chinese have been careful on Jammu and Kashmir, but their position changes when things change. And right now they're pretty supportive of Pakistan. So therefore you are dealing really with a two-front situation. And Kashmir is right at the center of it. You have the 3-day when it's reinforcements in Ladakh, and the rest of you dealing with the borders in Ladakh with the Chinese, and here you're dealing with the Pakistanis. But this is something we've always faced, and this is something we are confident of dealing with. And my hats off to the army and the Jawans for what they're going through. To my view, this will continue into next summer, and we'll have to take it from there. Therefore, I think people in Kashmir are too Kashmir centric. I come from Tamil Nadu. My daughters are married to people from all over India, and I respect the concept of a united India. That is it. And I think unless we move in that direction domestically through development, we will go wrong. The other point I want to make is the geopolitical aspects are being dealt with in Delhi, and the other fact is that remember one thing, that we are the only country in the world apart from Vietnam which is being backed jointly by the Americans and the Russians. So let my Pakistani friends and others who are listening to this bear that in mind. That is not going to change, and we can look after ourselves. Also, I want to mention that I hope you do a study of this. This was the discussions between India and Pakistan on Kashmir in 2004, 5, 6 till 2008, till Musharraf lost his power. And I go back to a speech by Dr. Manmohan Singh when he said in Amritsar on March 24, 2006, borders cannot be redrawn, but we can work towards making them irrelevant, towards making them just lines on a map. Dr. Manmohan Singh also said, people on both sides of the line of control should be able to move freely and trade with one another. When our Kashmiri friends go across the line of control and see what is happening across in Pakistan occupied Kashmir, they will realize themselves the vast benefits that they received from association with a democratic, pluralistic India. But you can't do it now. And right now, I'll be very candid with you, I'm not in government. I don't think that with Imran Khan breathing down the necks of the army, and the army itself not in the frame of mind which General Musharraf was in 2006 after Kargil. They learned their lesson there, but they forget rather quickly. So the problem is that we will have to deal with Pakistan. We will have to deal with the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. But there can be no compromise on our sovereignty. And I go back to what General said, borders cannot be redrawn, but we can make them irrelevant. I tell you, if you get about 5,000 people from Pakistan occupied Kashmir come here, they say, ये तो जन्नत है भाई. When they see how Kashmiris on this side are living. So I would just say that let's look at it in a larger perspective. Let us look at what has happened, as I look at it, as the will of the Indian people, where it's not easy to amend the Constitution of India, and that has been done. Uh, Certainly, there can be problems of uh, you face in day-to-day living or for your children. But I go back to what was said: borders cannot be redrawn. That to me is sacrosanct. And if you want, I have this booklet, and we had produced it at the Delhi Policy Group. I could have it sent to you if you so desire. But that spelled out what was happening then. The reality is, Musharraf got scared. He couldn't take on Kayani and the army. He was getting weakened, and he went. But that was the man who was the author of Kargil, so he traveled pretty far. Therefore, you keep talking to the Pakistanis. And the other point is, I would like to bear in mind that our animosity is towards the Pakistani military and the Pakistani army, the rulers. Therefore, we have to look at uh, how we can get this message across of what we are, how good we are, and that's really for governments to decide how that is to be done. Because I've lived 5.5 or almost 6 years in Pakistan, and if you travel across most of it, I don't think people there want a conflict with India. बहुत हो गया this thing. And even the feeling prevails in Punjab, where you should expect something worse. But it's not going to be easy. There is a strong war lobby. The country is becoming totally fundamentalist in religious terms, and we have a problem of dealing with it. But here, I would hesitate to comment on the internal affairs, but I think you cannot have one group of people from one state behaving as though they are a part of another country. And I think that by and large, as someone said, the number of Kashmiri students now going to other parts of India, traveling abroad, it broadens their vision. So I'm one of those who encourages the Kashmiri to look outside. I think as a chancellor of a university, I must to tell the students to look outward. The world does not begin and end in Jammu and Kashmir. It goes beyond that. And we have to look. So I would like to first of all again thank the International Institute of J&K Studies and Analysis you for your patience. I'm sorry I got a bit delayed, and I hope you found it fruitful. And one final request: do send me the recording, Varun, when you finish with it. Thank you very much. Particularly great to meet friends like Dr. Ashok Bhan here and others whom I've known over the years. Unfortunately, things being what they are, travel is not possible, and they tell me at the age of 80 I should avoid that. So, but I would love to come back to Jammu as soon as possible. Thank you very much.